to bring in President Trump's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani. Rudy, first, are you in touch with the president? Have you spoken to him the last couple hours or tonight? And
well,
what is he thinking?
Of course, he's my client, and therefore I can't tell you what I talked to him about, particularly at a time like this. It's attorney-client privilege. I know the Democrats don't respect that or any other constitutional privileges the president has. I think you're absolutely right. I think the Democrats have stepped into something way beyond what they realize. It reminds me of a fighter who was swinging wildly against a really skilled fighter who has a great right hand and puts him right down. They have walked into something that I was hoping they'd walk into for 6 months, and what they've exposed is probably what's going to turn out to be one of the major scandals of the early part of the 21st century, which is Joe Biden. It's a lot of money, Laura. It's not just Ukraine. It's a pattern of conduct. It's a very serious pattern of conduct. It really goes back to small-time stuff when he first got into the Senate with his brother, who was enriching himself on Biden's public office. And then the numbers got outrageous during the Obama administration. 5-6 million to a son who's a seriously incompetent person who got put on a board of the most corrupt company in Ukraine.
Rudy, the question about this...
I have the records. I have the records of a $3 million laundered payment to Mr. Biden's son. I have the records. I have the dates. It went from Ukraine to Latvia, Latvia to Cyprus, Cyprus to
we've documented this.
Ask your two lawyers this. That's called evidence of guilty knowledge. That surreptitious, illegal transfer of money.
I want to move the conversation forward because we've hit this and we've had you on for months talking about this. So we've established that
nobody paid attention to it until now.
Well, no, we paid attention to it. We've been doing it since
you did,
May or April.
None of these people in the corrupt media paid attention.
Well, everybody has their,
but I think the corrupt Democrats did, which is what I think they're doing. I think they're covering up for what will turn out to be massive corruption in the Obama administration. He got $1.5 billion from China.
What about
$1.5 billion from China?
The phone transcript, I guess, that's going to be released, an official telling Fox from the White House tonight that there are a, quote, few words in the transcript that will raise eyebrows, but it's nowhere near as inflammatory as the Democrats have suggested. It's nowhere
near what Biden did, or Chris Murphy, by the way, who should be impeached. He went to see the president of the Ukraine, and he told the president of the Ukraine that if he cooperates with the president, they'll cut off aid. That's a quid pro quo. That's a quid pro. That's threatening.
Hey,
Nancy Pelosi should be outraged at Chris Murphy.
Nancy has a very...
He should impeach him.
They should impeach
Chris Murphy.
She has a very interesting view of quid
I don't know
pro
what
quo.
the crime. I don't know what the crime. I don't even think she pronounced it correctly. But I don't know what the crime is.
Hey,
but
Rudy,
the reality is that Joe Biden actually may have very well committed something called crimes. $1.5 billion from China to your son when you're negotiating with China, and you're failing in your negotiations.
Never should have happened. Never should have happened.
What do you mean never should have happened? It's outrageous. It's an outrageous sale of the vice presidency.
Yeah, it was an
China paid for Joe Biden's office. China didn't invest in a drug-challenged son with $1.5 billion. They bought the vice president of the United States. And even if you're a Democrat, you should be shocked by that. But they're covering it up because this political party is so corrupt, it stinks. And when the Biden corruption comes out, and we look at how much money Clinton made off the Secretary of State's office, and we'll look at how much money Kerry's stepson made in that same transaction, I don't know who wasn't making money in the Obama administration.
Hold on a second, because the Washington Post tonight has a story out. You're the focus of it. That's not a big shock. This is what it says, in part. Though the whistleblower report focuses on the Trump-Zelensky call, officials familiar with its content said that it includes references to other developments tied to the president, including efforts by Giuliani to insert himself into U.S.-Ukrainian relations. Rudy, he did all of this, one U.S. official said. This show that we're in, it's him injecting himself into the process. Insiders saying, you muck this up. Your response?
Man, I really did. And you know who I did it at the request of? The State Department. I never talked to a Ukrainian official until the State Department called me and asked me to do it. And then I reported every conversation back to them. And, Laura, I'm a pretty good lawyer, just a country lawyer. But it's all here, right here. The first call from the State Department. The debriefing of the State Department.
So why are they out to get you? This story is filled with unnamed sources again.
I will compliment myself. because I do a pretty good job for him, and they try to destroy everybody around him. But they're not going to intimidate me. In fact, I'm going to work harder, because I don't get intimidated by bullies. I have a chapter in my book about standing up to bullies, but I never realized the depth of the corruption. I always thought Joe Biden was intellectually challenged, but a nice guy. I never knew the depth of this corruption. It's massive, it's shocking, and if I played a role in getting that out, I did a service to my country, and I'm proud of it. And everything I did is defensible, and everything I did is legal, and most of what they're doing is to cover up for a crime. And I'm happy to have them challenge me, because every time they've challenged me, they go down and we win, because they are acting improperly.
Yeah.
They are acting with an abuse of power. And the President of the United States conversation with that president, if you consider what a crook Joe Biden and his son were, was demanded. It was necessary. You cannot let the Vice President of the United States allow his son to enrich himself to the tune of millions and millions of dollars.
Rudy, I couldn't agree with you more. But why are you the one to do this? Why isn't this the role of the Justice Department or the FBI? Why task you, the personal attorney, the president, to do that? I think that's a question that just layman was like, okay, I get it. That should be investigated. But why is Rudy running the show on that? Why isn't it FBI and the main justice?
That's a very good question. Because the FBI's performance since its entire investigation, including up to this moment, is flawed. Why am I doing it, Laura? Can't you figure it out? I'm his defense lawyer. I'm defending him. He's my client. I don't know. Only Donald Trump is not entitled to a defense in America.
But how are you defending him by investigating Biden? Just spell it out for us.
Because one of the things that the prosecutor that Biden had fired, and then the prosecutor that Biden helped to put in, one of the things they did was to dismiss a case against an organization that was collecting false information about Donald Trump, about Paul Manafort, and feeding it to the Democratic National Committee.
Okay, that explains it to people.
That organization was run by...
I don't think people understood that.
That was run by George Soros, who then hired the crooked FBI agent who is now working for George Soros. Laura, this stinks. This is Tammany Hall, New York politics to the tune of $1 billion. It stinks. I spent my life as a prosecutor investigating crooked Democrats, crooked Republicans. I don't care who's crooked. They should go to jail. These people abused power. And you know why? Because that crooked press corps enables them. Because they don't cover them the way they cover Republicans. There are two systems of justice in this country. They go after Republicans if we say something wrong. They allow Democrats to steal millions, and they don't care. The Clintons enriched themselves on public office to the tune of hundreds of millions. The Bidens got $1.5 billion from China, which had to be a deliberate act on the part of China to buy the vice presidency. It cost a lot of money to buy it. They didn't invest in the... They didn't invest in the hedge fund because it made money. Yeah. It made no money. The Chinese are not stupid.
Yeah.
They don't spend their money for no reason. There's only one reason the Chinese spent that money: to buy Joe Biden's office. That office doesn't belong to him. It belongs to the people of the United States. And if a president can't vindicate that, then it's a sad day for America. I am proud of my president because he is trying to clean up a swamp that is much worse than the American people realize.
Well, I think
it's disgusting.
Schumer warned about the, deep state. They'll always find a way to get you. And there seems like there are...
Not if you have courage.
Yeah, there are people inside...
If you're a little snivelly coward, they'll beat you.
Hold on. There are people inside this administration. I've said this from January 5th of 2017. They are leaking. There were people at the very beginning leaking. It rolled all the way through the deep state, and a lot of their people are now put in other networks as commentators. It's absolutely reprehensible. I've never seen anything like it. But, Rudy, there's a thing in this story. You've cleared up a lot. I think a lot of people don't follow every iteration because it's complicated to people who don't follow this every day.
It is complicated.
But it's important. It's important for people to get it.
Thank God you cover it in a complicated way.
But it's important that people understand this, because when they hear stuff, then they can say, oh, I heard that spin and it's wrong. So what is the deal about this Ukrainian ambassador to the U.S.? Because part of this story, again, broke tonight, is that you were putting big pressure on her as part of this scenario. Yeah, the U.S.
No,
ambassador,
I didn't put pressure on her.
U.S. ambassador to the Ukraine, excuse me.
Look, I was sitting in my office in November of 2018, and a very prominent investigator that both the gentlemen you just have on know came to me and told me, there's a story about the Ukraine and what the Democrats did there that'll shock you. And I didn't believe it at first. Biden wasn't involved. It was all about collusion, which, by the way, is massive, right? I mean, and people were paying for it, like George Soros. And the American ambassador was deeply involved in it. And the FBI agent who was investigating it was deeply involved in it. She is now working for George Soros. The FBI agent is working for George Soros, making hundreds of thousands of dollars. She was involved in it back then. In January of 2016, the Obama White House told Ukrainian officials, go dig up dirt on Trump and Manafort. Well, Nancy Pelosi doesn't care about that.
Right, who in the Obama administration? You said the Obama White House. That was what was told to you?
No, that's been reported in The Hill by John Solomon.
Yeah,
and I've seen some of the documents. And then Joe Biden removes this prosecutor. He says he didn't know his son was under investigation. That's absurd. That he never talked to his son about his son's foreign business. Do you believe that? Don't you think I can prove that he did? You think I'm stupid? You think I've given you all my evidence?
Rudy, I have a question.
They have walked into a trap.
So this is a gift to you, then. This whole thing is a big gift to the American people for transparency.
You're darn right it's a gift. Maybe,
sunlight.
Maybe, just maybe, we will finally investigate a Democrat like we investigate a Republican. Maybe, just maybe, we won't do the big Hillary Clinton fix like the FBI did to let her out of crimes that were so horrendous and so obvious that anybody would be prosecuted. If Biden gets away with the $1.5 billion, then we don't have justice in America. We just don't. And we've lost the FBI and who knows what else.
No, well, we can't lose the FBI. We got Bill Barr over at Justice. No way you're losing the FBI.
Yeah, but their inability to investigate this is astounding. You know how it first came to me? It first came to me from this very prominent investigator telling me for 1 year they were trying to get this information to the FBI. So you ask me, why did I do it? Because the FBI didn't do their job. Maybe they're afraid that they'll expose a crooked agent. I will show you the statements from 5 Ukrainians that say, we desperately tried to get the information to the FBI, and we were blocked by the ambassador who eventually got fired.
We're just hearing, Rudy, by the way, hold on. We're just hearing that Trump is going to be meeting with the Ukrainian president 2:15 tomorrow.
Would you please emphasize the fact that the Ukrainian president has said, I wasn't pressured?
Yeah, well, this again is where the Democrats have taken us. So, Ukraine says it wasn't pressured. The transcripts are coming out.
He's the only one that counts, by the way.
Yeah,
the only person that counts in an extortion, alleged extortion, is the victim.
Yeah. We're out of time.
He said I wasn't pressured. It doesn't matter if Schiff was.
All right, Rudy, we're out of time. Sorry to cut you off. You got to get your voice back. We have a lot more to get to. Every angle covered when we come back.